recorded onto the computer. All right. Well, welcome to the Connect or Die podcast. Holy cow. This is, we have been through quite the evolution over the last couple of weeks. I am now living in Corvallis, Oregon. Logan is back there in the land of promise in Utah.
You lucky dog. The land of promise. The land of promise.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I'm out in Oregon and I've really enjoyed it. I love it out here. And it's been kind of funny because I think the people who complain about the rain the most are probably from like California or something where it's sunny all the time, because
right.
It hasn't bothered me one bit.
Really?
And yeah, it hasn't bothered me at all. And I've only been here now for like 2 weeks, so maybe it'll start bothering me. But so far, it's actually like pretty refreshing, and everything is so green that it never looks like. It almost makes it like whimsical. Like you go on a hike in the mountains and it's raining and it's misty and it's beautiful and it's green. And
well, be honest though, Dave. Like, don't you feel like people's feeling about the weather has way more to do with what's going on inside of them than the weather itself? Like, because dude, I've been in the middle of a storm and experienced more calm than on the, some of the sunniest days outside, but on my rainiest internal days. And I think that has more to do with where you're at in life and how you're feeling about things. And it's funny, like whenever you welcome people to this podcast, I just like, truthfully, what we're welcoming people into is just the conversations you and I just naturally love to have with each other.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. And it's like, because that's when you and I, when we feel the most connected. And that's what this whole thing is about. Like if I start trying to think that I'm talking to more than just you, I start to lose it.
Yeah. Well, I start to censor and I start to, I start to censor myself. I start to censor what I say. I'm like, oh no, maybe I'll offend someone if I tell them what I'm thinking.
Right.
I think really that's all we're doing is we're inviting others to become a part of the conversations you and I have all the time.
Right.
It's kind of funny because you brought up storms. As you know, because you went camping with me and we got caught in the rain and got soaking wet. I actually really enjoy, especially if there's like lightning and thunder. If you've ever been in like a really strong lightning and thunderstorm, that really energizes me. It actually like fills me up. I feel so good after. And I sleep really deeply. So if there's like a lot of lightning and storm outside, I sleep better. I don't know what that means. I don't know. It's just the way I've always been ever since I was a kid. I think like I remember waking up and looking out the window and watching the lightning hit the valley and hearing the thunder. And I just remember how loud it was and how you can feel it in your chest. I've always loved storms. And so,
no, dude, I think that's a fantastic, and not just, the way it applies to events in our lives, but it has spiritual implications, everything you're saying.
Totally.
Right. The storms of our life. It's so hard to be present and connected in the storms of our life. And you were saying we were going to talk about this at the end, but dude, I mean, there's a storm brewing in our world today. And it's called COVID-19. Like where I genuinely, because like I've been kind of touching base with, I've touched base with my grandfather. I've touched base with my father. I've kind of touched base with some of my brothers, my sisters, my mom, like a little bit with this. Obviously my wife, like kind of gotten her take, but I haven't gotten your take yet. And as my brother, like, where are you at with this? Like, where's your level of, I don't want to say panic, because that's not, but
So it's kind of funny because I actually did a post on this because someone asked me about it online, and I just think be prepared, not scared. I think the work you need to do for your health. Oh man, I'm just kidding.
I just coughed, dude. Fuck, I'm screwed. I'm screwed. Man. Oh shit.
Yeah, I know. I finally started farting to cover my coughs now. It switched. I used to cough to cover my farts. But I think
because if you cough outside today, like you get dirty looks. People are like,
People are scared. And the thing is it's like, look, and that's why my message from the beginning has been like, hey, take a deep breath, like relax, meditate, do things that you like to do, eat good food. Like, we live in such a wonderful age where you can order a ton of stuff online. You don't want to go out for the weekend because you want to keep, you want to stay in with your family. Guess what? You can order an Uber. And if you're so scared of it, like, or Uber Eats or all the different types of, delivery platforms we have now. And if you're that scared, then leave it outside and you can disinfect it. And like, like really, we live in like a wonderful time. And I think there's a few things here. First, I get on like my business hat and I start thinking about, how is this going to affect the economy? What does this do for us as a country? I think one beautiful thing that it's done for us is it's made us realize, like, hey, dude, you can't keep sending all your shit over to China just because it's going to make you a couple extra bucks. You got to make it here. Like,
it'll save you in the long run.
Yeah. If you want to be able to do like medical supplies, if you want to, like, I think that this is actually going to boost our economy and boost our strength as a country big time, because the conspiracy side of me starts to come out a little bit, because I think that it is pretty fortuitous that right as China is beginning to get sanctioned and starting to potentially lose a lot of money, because the U.S. is starting to be like, hey, dude, if you're going to do sanctions, we're going to do sanctions. Like, we're not going to play this game anymore. I don't know what side of the political eye you're on, but still, I think that's a good thing. I think that we had a pretty shitty deal. And I do find it interesting that it's right around election season. It's right around, it's like every 4 years. Wow, 4 years ago is Ebola, and the 4 years before that it was something else. Like, I do find it
how can we make a bunch of noise in the media?
Yeah, and part of that could be like our consciousness as human beings. We start stressing out about something, and that produces it. I don't know about that, but there's a lot we don't know, but I also think that this is a wonderful wake-up call for us as Americans to begin to say, like, okay, well, I'm not going to be as profitable as fast, but if I build it here, the workers are here, the resources are here, everything is right here. Like, I think it's frankly a good thing.
It's interesting, that you say that, because I actually just this past week I started a kind of a production job. Just for like 20 to 25 hours a week. I had a buddy of mine his dad owns a co-packing facility, and we're just packing like these health lozenges. The work is like really rudimentary. It's really menial, but like I sit there and I listen to audiobooks, and it's crazy because it's like now I have this dedicated time to listen to books, which is something I wanted to do before, but didn't ever like set aside the time.
Yeah.
But now I'm going, and it's not my full-time job. Like, I still do other things on the side, but it's been an adjustment, but it's also been kind of refreshing. I'm working with my hands. Like, I'm getting that masculine energy. We've had some conversations, you and I, where you're like, dude, Logan, you're a little too feminine. I think that's why I grow the beard, right? To like compensate for some of that. But just having that job. And so I think that would be a good thing, actually. I think that would be a great thing for America. If people kind of return to some of those jobs that we were just like, hey, we don't want to do this anymore, so let's ship it overseas. Well, maybe that's not the best way. And maybe you don't want to do that full time. Maybe you want to do some other side hustles, but 10 hours a week, if everyone was willing to work a factory job 10 hours a week, like we could produce shit, like it'd be okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's good that we started setting stuff up, about really, I mean, whether you hate him or love him, I'm kind of in the middle on Trump, but because there's a lot I really dislike about him. But dude, the guy brought up China right off the bat and said, like, hey, these deals are bad, and these are bad for the United States. And I think, frankly, this is showing it. And so
there could be some truth to that.
And I think there could be. And I think that we get a good opportunity as a country to to look out for each other as Americans, to show more empathy, more love, more understanding for others. Like this, dude, it sucks that we have to have these kinds of things to bring us together. But I think that it is doing that, and that is not just as a full unequivocal statement. That is not saying that this suffering is good or that it's like, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying like, where's the silver lining? Because this is obviously shitty. So if someone wants to take that out of context, they're welcome to. But try to put that in.
If someone wants to take your words out of context, I'll back you up.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Because I mean, and genuinely, like I know that when you speak, like you're thinking about people, you know, and that's kind of my take, you know, just to give my take. I think a lot of the preventative measures that are being offered, I think are things we probably needed to be doing all along, that we've gotten lax on, like washing your fucking hands. Like, you know, you go into the bathroom and you touch your genitals, like, come on, have respect for other people and wash your hands. Like that's just common courtesy.
Let's be honest, you've been picking your nose and scratching your butt all day. Like let's wash the hands.
And I've realized, like, because you know, I've been in kind of some social settings since then, and people are kind of, they're over like, hey, make sure like use the hand sanitizer. Yeah. And so I've realized it's never a bad idea. You know, it's never a bad idea to use hand sanitizer. If I don't do it too much, you know, it's not gonna harm my immune system. Yeah. So I feel like the preventative measures are things we probably should have been doing all along. If you're sick, stay home, right? Yeah. If you're sick, stay home. Yeah. And I think if we can do those things and just allow our lives to kind of get back to that natural course. Yeah. Because the thing that's not causing me panic, but it's causing me a little level of concern is what's going on at grocery stores. Yeah. Like, people are just being, I'll just say they're being selfish. Yeah. They're hoarding stuff. And it's like, you didn't have to do this before, and you got what you needed and I got what I needed. Yeah. The supply chain isn't broken. Like, the supply chain that we have in the United States of America has been working to make they make environments where germs aren't a factor. Yeah. Like, they wear masks, they wear gloves, they wash their hands. This is part of their standard operating procedure. Yeah. Like I don't think that they're shutting down. I actually just talked to my dad, who's been working in supply chain for his entire life. Yeah. And he's very confident. He's like, no, Logan, like, businesses want to make money. They're going to produce and they're going to ship. Like, it's going to be okay. He said, you know, maybe it might be a good idea to have at most a couple of weeks of groceries, so you can limit some of your contact with other
and
people.
Beans and like, that's fine. I think that's once again, like, be prepared, not scared. I think
don't go and wipe them out of a month's supply, because you're taking someone else's. Yeah. And you're essentially, to me, I feel like you're putting out the message, my life is more important than yours.
Right. Well, and I think one thing that's really important with this is, if we all suffer a little, none of us have to suffer a lot.
Amen.
Like,
Amen.
if we all just take these little bit of preventative measures, little bit of, like, one thing I do like about Oregon is if you want to have grocery bags, you bring your own or you're paying for them. Right. I know that, like, that was like a little bit of annoyance when I got here. Yeah. But then I bought a few bags and I keep them in my truck, and guess what? Not that inconvenient.
It's really not.
Not that, and in fact, my bags are nice. Like, I've got one that's like a cooler bag that I put my drinks in, and that I put my milk in, and then I put my, like, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then it's easy. It's not that much effort. And so I think. And
truthfully, like, I don't know where you're at in terms of like green and protecting the environment, but like we've been given this home.
Totally.
Take care of it, you know. And I've walked into people's homes, and I've been personally appalled at the way that some people allow themselves to live. Like, and so it's no, you know, it's not a shock to me how people treat the earth, but yeah, it's anyway.
Well, and it's kind of interesting because the business that I market for, we're just like, you have to, one thing that's kind of tough that a lot of people don't understand about business is like you have to start somewhere, and typically you have to start with the like cheaper materials, and then you build up nicer, and then you can become more eco-friendly. And
Right.
so one thing I've liked is the activewear that I market for. They're starting to make more and more clothes out of recycled, like out of, and all they eliminated all of their paper, so everything's done electronically. They're beginning to do those things, and I think that and Natalie and I are big proponents of that. We've always been big on recycling. We've always been big on we're going to be consumers one way or another, but you might as well consume products that are going to last a long time. Like we've been thinking about this stuff for quite a while. So I think this is a great time. I also think it's a chance for us as Americans to begin to ask, like, okay, do you want to continue to trade your time for money? Or do you want to start to find other ways that you can make an extra $500 a month?
Right.
Like, are you going to start a Shopify account? Are you going to start a YouTube page where you are, reviewing hot dogs or whatever?
Right.
It doesn't really matter.
I was you'll probably laugh at this, but one of my trusted news sources, probably my only trusted news source other than like people that I trust, is John Oliver. And he, in his last season, he did an episode about jobs just in general.
Yeah.
So he talked about how when we talk to little children, we ask them, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we usually, stick to one thing, right? You're going to be one thing when you grow up. I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be a mechanic. I'm going to be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever. Yeah. And he said, that doesn't reflect the times we live in.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Right.
He's like, the better question we should probably start asking our kids is, hey, what 5 things do you want to do when you grow up?
Yeah.
Because over the course of your entire career, you're going to have to shift. And that was the main thing, is like the concern is that jobs shift. As we advance as a society, jobs shift from agricultural to industrial, from industrial to where we are now. And they're going to continue to shift. And the best way to get ahead of that is begin diversifying. Diversify the way you make money. And then when you lose one, it's not as big of a thing. And so, all of the financial advisors out there tend to agree having multiple streams of income is a great idea. In the day and age we live in, it's just a fantastic idea. But I like this discussion because it's all just what you said, right? Be prepared, not scared. And if you feel scared right now, my advice genuinely is connect to that for a moment and figure out what the truth is. Don't connect to it so far that you're like in panic mode and you're running to the store to become a doomsdayer. I don't think that is necessary, but figure out the truth about why you're scared.
Yeah.
Is there a place where you're unprepared? And if you are unprepared in a way, is there something you can begin to shift in your life to be more prepared? And then you'll find that over time, you're less scared.
Yeah.
When shit hits the fan, it will suck, but you're not completely caught with your pants down. They just come down part way. I think didn't we have a discussion like that in one of our earlier episodes?
Well, that it doesn't matter what you do, life will catch you with your pants down.
Right.
So you have to create the kind of fortitude that you're fine with it, and then you can move on and pull your pants back up. Like it's I think this stuff is really, really important. I think this is honestly, I think it's it's kind of a cool time.
When I was, sorry, not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
You have more to say. I was going to kind of shift the topic a little bit with a bomb question, because I don't want this question again. Like, I don't want it to cause any type of panic, and I don't think you have panic. I don't have panic, but truthfully, like, there are people out there in Christian circles and religious circles who they view this as a quote unquote sign of the times, right? This is a sign that the world is ending.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because recently I've read some articles and things as to people who hold those views tend to be less protective of the environment, which is weird.
Yeah.
They're like, oh well, like this place is gonna explode anyway, so might as well throw some gasoline on the fire, you know.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Like, I know, like you still hold to a lot of Christian values, and
I think that frankly, I think it's irresponsible for the religious leaders to be pushing that kind of narrative. I think that it's not only is it irresponsible in the short term, it's irresponsible in the long term as well. I'm not going to live as if tomorrow is the end of days. I'm going to prep, for me, I'm a big Second Amendment guy. Like, I'm going to be ready for whatever. And I've always been a Boy Scout, be prepared type
Dude,
thing.
if the apocalypse comes, I'm knocking on your door. Like, I'm coming to Corvallis, Oregon.
Come on over, man.
That's the cool. I know you'll answer the door.
Yeah.
I'll feel better being in your presence.
Yeah, dude, we'll make it by. It'll be just fine.
Right, I know.
And but I do think that it's extremely irresponsible. I think that is there a possibility? Is there a percentage of a 1% that is true? That is possible.
Sure.
But I think it's irresponsible, and I think that it's an improper way to orient yourself in your life. Like, I'm not going to live as if tomorrow is the end of times. I'm not going to live that way. What that does is that climbs you up. That doesn't put you in a place of taking risk, of trying new things, of continually discovering, of investing in things. It makes you want to pull all your money out and put it in a savings account and hide it under your pillow. And I just think that's wrong. I just think if you're stepping into this place, like, yes, should you have some money put away so that if you couldn't work for 2 weeks, you can be okay, or that you have other means of income coming in, for sure. And if this is your wake up call, awesome. Yeah. Like, start looking into some of this stuff. Take it. Yeah. Take action. Start saving 10% of your money. Like, these are like pretty obvious things. Maybe go read The Richest Man in Babylon and get some money to get some of those coins to jingle in your purse. That's what they talk about. But other than that, we should enjoy our lives, wash our hands, smile, help other people, go and do things you enjoy to do. Like, and I think when I say, like, take a breath, I mean that literally. I don't mean like literally sit down, take 30 deep breaths, and like calm yourself. Because the one thing that is a problem is the perception of danger can be as dangerous as danger itself.
Right.
And so this perceived, like, oh no, this is the end of times. It's like, frankly, calm the fuck down. Everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine. Not because I have a guarantee of the future and that I know what's going to happen, but because I know that I'm fine here. And I know that as long as I'm fine here, it doesn't matter what happens. I think that if you do see these doomsdayers, these people that are buying up, like, you're seeing someone who has a lot more enemies inside of themselves. And those enemies, as soon as they are threatened, expose themselves, and people become selfish, and they begin to hoard and to do these things.
When I think that they're the opposite, like the two extremes of, the concept of the world's going to end tomorrow. I think on one end you have the people who'd be like, oh, well, like, let's live it up today because tomorrow we're going to die. Right. And then you have the people who are like, oh, like, we got to, save, put off satisfaction so that we're ready for this apocalyptic day that's coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I feel like there's and I'm not going to say it's in the middle, because where that is for everyone, I don't necessarily know, but there's this beautiful kind of merging of some of these ideas that each of us get to strike the right balance for us, that I think is a sweet spot. Yeah. And living in the moment is what I have found, and just being present and connected to what is the truth about right now. Cause yeah, I mean, I'll just be honest, like with what's going on with the groceries and everything, like, you know, my wife she's in her third trimester, like she's in kind of a nesting phase. And so it's freaking her out. She's like, oh, we're not going to be prepared. So there is that like cause of concern. And so I asked myself the question, well, is there anything I can do? I actually had the thought like randomly, I'm like, well, if push comes to shove, I know I cannot eat food for 5 days. So like, I know I can like fall back on that if I'm like, I need to save food for my wife and my kids, and you can last for 10 days.
I can go 10 days without eating and it'll be all right. And one thing that I think is that I think this is a really cool opportunity on a national level for maybe people can start investing in their local businesses. Like Natalie and I, guess what? I went and got groceries. No line. No one else was there. Want to know why? I drove up to a farm and bought their produce.
That's awesome.
Like that's a good place to be at. And not everyone's going to have that situation. I totally understand that. But like, is this going to spark a few people that are like, hey, I've actually always been interested in farming. I remember growing up doing it, and maybe I should start my own farm. Maybe I could start selling produce,
or plant a little garden, right?
Yeah,
start small.
Or local communities saying like, hey, why don't we all put our money together? Like I actually talked to this farm, the lady who owns the farm, and she was like, hey, if you want to, you can buy into the farm, and you put this much in every month. And then you come and pick up your produce. Like you just walk in and pick what you need.
Right.
I was like, that's great.
Yeah, man.
And like, I just think that this is just a really, I don't know. I feel like it's a cool moment. And it's like if we're going off of what's happened in South Korea and some of these other places that reacted quickly to it, that the whole was willing to suffer a little so that the minorities and the small group doesn't have to suffer a lot. Like South Korea, their infection's gone way down. And then with China threatening the U.S. saying like, hey, we're not going to send you medical supplies. That's a good wake-up call for us as Americans.
Absolutely.
Great wake-up call.
Don't send it over there. If we don't trust those people, don't send it over there.
Yeah, just and that doesn't mean that we have to be
you greedy bastards. You know, you're gonna be hurting now, like pharmaceutical motherfuckers. Like we're definitely gonna go natural now.
Yeah, well, and I don't think that we have to become isolationists, but I do think that this is a good. I think
Yeah, we're not going full on Wakanda.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
We don't need to go full on Wakanda.
U.S. can continue to be the number one charity giving country, and continue to do more to help others than any other country. Right. Now that obviously the U.S. has a lot of issues as well, but I think like this is long story short, I think this is a really good thing. So one thing I kind of want to get back into though, I want to talk a little bit about this book. That we were talking about before. One that I suggested that you read. It's called Beautiful Outlaw. It talks specifically about Jesus Christ and his life. And for me, it was an eye-opening experience. For me, it was a chance for me to connect to something. And it's made, not that like, I don't know what it means yet, but all I know is that I'm finding a deeper connection with the divine in a way that I've never felt before. And I think the fundamental difference for me is before I was all about willpower. I mean, like you said, like I've been able to fast for 10 days, to go 10 days without eating food. I've been able to run races even though I was sick. I've been able to
sit in freezing cold water.
Yeah, sit in freezing cold water, hike out and in freezing cold weather with very little supplies and be okay. Like I was all about willpower, and I was like, okay, I need to harness my will to get what I want. And what this has been doing for me, this connection that I've began to feel, it's literally the opposite. Like before I was like, okay, I use my willpower to change my actions. And then when I change my actions, my heart will change. That hasn't been the case all the time. It's been the case in a few things, but it hasn't been the case all the time. And so what I've been finding is that through frankly like grace, and I didn't mean for this to get like into this kind of context, but I'm not going to censor anything. So
no.
What
you wouldn't censor. You were just talking to me, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Just lay it on me, man. So, I want to know your truth. Don't censor it.
So what I found interesting is, as I've accepted, to the degree that I allow grace to come into my life, then Jesus changes my heart, and then my actions change of themselves. And so it's like I'm not having to willpower myself into anything, because if I feel like for example, I'll give you a very real example, pornography, right? If I'm feeling a pull toward pornography, I stay connected. I say, hey, Jesus, I'm starting to feel this way, and I don't really want to go look at that right now. I mean, part of me obviously wants to, but I would rather not do it. And I feel this connection, and it almost feels like, it's like, hey, Dave, that's okay. It's all good, man. I got you.
Right.
I'll carry you through this. I'm like, cool. And then it's not this willpower. It's not me fighting with myself all day long. It's like, I'm like, oh, great. And then I just let it go. And then 10 minutes later, I don't feel anything about that. Like I don't, it's like, it just naturally lets itself go.
Well, there's a confidence that comes from that, you know, when you're truly connected to the present moment, whether you're going through, as we were talking about before, whether you're going through a storm, or you're having a good time. If you're connected to the moment, you're going to be able to see the thing that you need to see.
Yeah.
Going to be able to notice that whether it's, someone pops into your head and you're like, wow, I haven't talked to that person in a while. I need to give them a call. I don't know why, but I'm just going to do it. And you do it. And then you get on that call and it's like, that person said, man, I'm having the worst day of my life. Thank you so much for calling me. Like I needed that. And I can't explain exactly what that is, but it's real. And I've had moments like that. Like, just off the top of my head today, I just had the feeling to call my grandpa and just tell him how much I love and appreciate him.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, me and my grandpa, we're like crying on the phone because we're having this real connected moment amidst, and obviously we talk about coronavirus. My grandpa has actually been in politics in the past. He's pretty like versed in some of this. So I just asked him his take, and but amidst the storm of all of this, he and I were able to connect and have this real moment. And he offered me like, Logan, if there's anything we can do for you or anything you guys need, just know we're an hour away. And it was comforting for me. And I was able to offer that comfort to my wife. Then later on, when she was like, oh, the stores are like out of stuff, what are we going to do? And I'm like, hey, you know how stocked my grandparents' pantries are? Like, we'll be okay. Like we have people who love us. And I think for me, like, going through this book, what I loved about it was how it felt like the author was reparadigming Jesus for me.
Yeah.
Back to the way that I saw him when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because I remember times growing up when I was just filled with anxiety. I had so much anxiety about so many different things. Something as small as like my parents would leave on a date, and I'd be asking them, Mom and Dad, when are you going to be home? Tell me exactly when you're going to be home. Okay, we'll be home at 8:30. And, I'm watching the clock. And if it's 8:31, the first thing that comes into my brain is my parents are dead.
Yeah.
Like they're in a ditch somewhere. And I'm freaking out. And like in those moments, what truly was something that was able to begin to calm me down was this concept, this belief that there was a being who loved me and knew what I was going through and could just help me begin to feel that it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And he was like my best friend, right? I could tell him anything.
Yeah.
And slowly over time, as I was part of the religion that I was a part of, and not to bash on the religion, but my experience within it is slowly that began to shift, where it was like, Jesus was there and he was kind of my friend, but there was also very set parameter religious structure that told me that if I didn't do these things, A, B, C, D, all the way through Z,
right,
that I wouldn't have him, that I'd be cut off from him.
Right.
And that was difficult for me. And so this book just began to reparadigm that, to say, no, he's not that guy that would want you to feel ashamed. He's that guy that when you're feeling ashamed, he would want you to come talk to him. Yeah. Because he will listen to you, and he'll tell you it's going to be okay. Like, genuinely, and maybe not even tell you it's going to be, he might not even tell you something. Yeah. But there will be something that will happen in that moment where you will be able to connect to truth.
And he's not going to get mad at you because of this influence. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And whether or not you believe in that actual entity, the reality is, if you can imagine someone like that, you can begin to be like that.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of calling that influence into your life, whether it's God or your higher power or it's Jesus, can be incredibly empowering. Incredibly empowering, because it connects you to the moment. And whenever I'm able to connect to the moment, what the emotion I feel the most is love.
Yeah.
And the moment just feels so big that sometimes, I mean, for me, and this is absolutely my feminine energy that you mentioned earlier, like, it moves me to emotion. It moves me to tears, because it's just too much. It just feels so big, the amount of love that I feel for the people that I'm around. And to me, that's what Jesus represents.
Yeah.
And that force is absolutely something that when we're connected, it just flows. It flows. Even in the bad times, sometimes I've marveled at how it can still flow even during the storms. Like, shit will be hitting the fan, and I'm just like, I don't know why, but I feel like it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not deluding myself. I'm in my mind, I'm like, what are the actual next steps I need to take?
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to take them. I'm confident, because I want to connect to the moment. It's and not that it, not that it always works out that way, right? Because you have those mornings where you wake up and you're just like, I have so much anxiety, like, and having something you can go to, whether it's, Jesus, help me out, whether it's prayer, it's meditation, it's exercise, it's water, it's all a combination of those things, whatever helps you to connect, like, call it into your life.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, because I had a friend who, we have a Marco Polo with Natalie and I and another couple, and we all talk about these kinds of topics. And she's like, well, do you have to connect to Jesus in order to have this? And I'm like, I don't know. Right. All I know is that I'm connecting to something that I've never had in my life before. And I like the Jesus that I read about in the Bible is one who, like, he drank with the publicans and the harlots. He hung around people that everyone else, the devout religious types, would have considered undesirable.
Right.
And he hung out with those people a lot.
Well, they called him into question because of the company that he kept.
Right. And in fact, even his followers asked him to stop talking to the publicans and the harlots, like, stop going to these basically bars and hanging out with these people. And the truth is, like, I would rather believe in a God that not only was willing to bring himself down, like, to take himself from limitless to limited in order to show the way, but also understands what it's like to be in the dirt, understands what it's like to have sore feet, to have BO, to walk a long way and be like, oh, I don't want to go there. Like, to have someone who understands that, but then also in the midst of a storm can say, peace, be still.
Right. Well, and what you're you're describing this person, and my desire that I just want to be like that. You describe a person that I want to emulate.
Yeah.
Like I want to be that old man, like on the trail with a bunch of kids, and they're like complaining about this trail, and I'm just like sitting there and just like enjoying the view, and they're just marvel, like, how can this guy enjoy the pain? Like, and it's, I just, there's so much power that comes from an individual like that. And I love the way that the author described it, because at one point he was like, think of a person you'd want to go on a trip with. Think of a person you'd call at 2:00 in the morning when you've gone through the worst thing in the world. Think of the person that above all other people you'd want to be stuck on an island with.
Yeah.
He's like, the Jesus I believe in is all of those. He fits every one of them for every person. And you begin to imagine this being that is just the coolest person to be around.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just fills me with the desire to be that. And that's kind of the way that, and I actually view, like, I look back on my time in the LDS church, and I'm super grateful because I've still held on to that.
Yeah.
I've had so many incredibly powerful experiences that taught me truth that I can still hold on to and say, wow, if I'm able to live that way and learn over my life how to do it more and more and more, I will become that. Yeah. And not to puff myself up or to, like, gain all this glory, but just, I think that's what a joyful life would be.
Yeah.
If you're able to be a best friend to literally all the people in your life that matter.
Yeah.
Like if you're able to get on a phone call with your mother when she's having a hard time and just fill her with love.
Yeah.
That's what life is all about.
Right.
If you're able to get on the phone with your buddy, your best friend, when they're going through hell, a divorce or something, and you're able to just listen to them, give them place and space to just be, that's beautiful. Totally. And that's what this author basically says. That's who Jesus was. And I love that. I love just reading that and having those thoughts and those ideas going through my mind. It was empowering, and I connected to the truth that I felt was there, even though maybe the details might look different for me versus for you versus for someone else. Like, it's anyway, I highly recommend the book to anyone.
Yeah, it's called Beautiful Outlaw. It's a great book.
Jesus is by far one of the most fascinating characters in the history of mankind. Whether you believe he existed or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's interesting because before I would have wanted to become like Jesus through willpower of my own.
Right.
And what I had to realize is that I'm not strong enough, that I'm not good enough. I don't have, like, my intentions aren't good enough. My thoughts aren't good enough. My actions aren't good enough to do any of those things, to come within anywhere near it. And as I surrender, to the degree that I surrender my will, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, as I let go, I receive. Right. And what I found interesting is quite literally in my own life, I experienced that. I had someone challenge me. He's like, it sounds like you're trying to be accepted by God. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. And he's like,
well, you're not, but the difference is you're not trying.
Yeah.
you just know you are.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, and like, that is the idea of grace. For me as well, like in the religion that I grew up in, which is the same as you, like, I just don't think you're saved by ordinances and laws. I think you're saved by grace, and you're saved to the degree that you're willing to surrender to grace is the degree that change will happen, not because of your willpower, but because your heart will be changed. And so I don't know what this means. I don't even know how I'm supposed to react to this thing, because it is so strange for me. Because it was funny, because I got that challenge. He's like, why don't you try praying and accepting Jesus versus trying to be accepted by him? And I was like, oh, like, it was so funny because it sounds pretty simple, but at the time it was really eye-opening for me. And it took me a couple of months to be able to do that because I was really scared. And what I found interesting about it is, to the degree that I accept, I am accepted. To the degree that I let go, I receive. It's so backwards. It's like, no, change their heart and then the actions will follow. Not change your actions and your heart will follow. Because that's the way I lived my life up to that point. So it's been pretty fascinating, man. The objective and really trying to have like an objective experience with it, and not allowing other paradigms or religious like stigma to step in and control it, but just to let it be, has been so fascinating, but it's so hard to articulate and to explain.
No, but I think you just did. And I think one of the most powerful things, oftentimes I'll say that Jesus Christ is one of the greatest life coaches that the world has ever known.
Yeah.
And I stand by that. Like I reading the New Testament, especially with this kind of new take that's been offered to me from this book. I believe that he was incredibly empowering in terms of what he taught. And one of the things that I think he taught, and more than taught, he emulated, was the concept that you described. Just let it be.
Yeah.
So often we try to explain everything in our lives such that we try to take our experiences and put them in boxes. Words, like even our language, are essentially boxes for ideas.
Yeah, totally.
The ideas, the experiences we have they're bigger than the words. Right. They don't necessarily, the words aren't able to contain and fully describe our experience, but we use them because we want to connect with other people. But the beautiful thing that Jesus taught was the powerful truth of just, I am.
Yeah.
Right. So often we get bogged down in that, like, I am good enough, I am not good enough, I am confident, I am not confident, I am stressed out, I'm not stressed out. And it's like you try to label your experiences and put them in these boxes, and that in and of itself, I think, can cause anxiety.
Yeah, totally.
But when you're able to just let it go, you don't have to describe everything, you don't have to know everything. Just connect to what's happening right in front of you. It's right there. Just be, just exist. And I think that's why your advice of just breathe. Like if anyone in this moment and you know is feeling any anxiety, that would be my for just breathe.
Yeah.
Because if you breathe, you will begin to feel that naturally, that wow, I'm alive. I was able to breathe. I actually read somewhere, I don't know if it's true, so if this is false information, like this, I'm not claiming this is a coronavirus test.
Yeah.
But I read somewhere that if in the morning, if you feel like you have any type of respiratory congestion,
shortness of breath,
take a deep breath into your nose, and if you're able to hold it for 10 seconds without any pain, you probably don't have the coronavirus. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, like breathing, it's the foundation of meditation, which meditation to me is all about presence. It's all about the moment. It's all about what's right now. It's all about I am. I exist. You exist. Life exists, and it's happening.
Yeah.
We don't have to explain it all away. It's fun. Like I love explaining. That's my job. That's my wheelhouse. Like I love figuring it out.
Yeah.
But there are times for that, and there are times to just live in it and enjoy it. And if you're finding that you're disconnected from the present, you're thinking about the future and the past or all of these different things, take a moment and just breathe.
Yeah.
Bring yourself back to that beautiful, simple truth of I exist. Like I'm here. I have breath to draw. My body is functioning.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Well, and I think that to the degree that we're able to do that and continue to smile and to just like, this is a great moment. Like, are there shitty things about it? For sure.
Right.
But it's also a great moment. Like, this is a good check for us to say, like, okay, where are your priorities at? And also, are you like, you know, are you doing the daily rituals that are going to give you the kind of security and presence that you want in your life? Because the truth is,
no matter what happens, right? No matter
what happens, because because then life can catch you with your pants down. You're like, I wasn't wearing pants anyway. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fine.
I've been free balling all day. Like.
Yeah, I don't wear any mask, so I'm walking around naked all the time. Like, I don't. It's all good, you know. And I think, and then there's no shame or embarrassment or, oh man, I was, yeah, I don't know. I think we get this. We get a really cool chance right now to take the time to connect to those that maybe we've been ignoring. And so, obviously, do the smart things, like wash your hands, you know, cover your mouth if you're coughing. Guys, this is like little kid stuff. This is stuff that I'm teaching my 4-year-old how to do. Like, we're going to be fine. And then, and then do things that you enjoy, like do things to keep your spirits up.
Right.
Time to meditate, take time to breathe, listen to the song you like to listen to, eat yummy food, you know. I just think these are like, this is life. Like, one thing that was described, one thing that I like that the Christian monks used to describe Vikings, which they weren't big fans of Vikings, but there were some of them that went among them and spent quite a bit of time with them, and they said that they were full of life. And so it's like, they have a lot of issues, don't get me wrong, but they were full of life. And I think, like, no matter whether this is my last day or not, I want to be full of life.
Right.
And I want to be doing those things that help me live more. I want to be spending time. That's why I moved to Oregon, frankly.
Right.
Natalie and I felt called here. The trees, the rain, the water, the food, the experience of seeing, like, these beautiful clouds among the pine trees, having 5 minutes away, like hundreds of miles of forest is 5 minutes from my house. The beach is 45 minutes from my house. Like, we came here to live. That's why we came. Not that we couldn't do that back in Utah. We certainly did. We hiked all those mountains. I snowboarded all the time. I mountain biked all the time there too. But it was a good thing for me to do. And I do find it interesting that, as, like, to take it on a personal level, as Natalie and I, like, we felt so strongly that we had to come here. We come here, and within 2 weeks of being here, this whole thing goes down. I find that fascinating.
Right.
I find that to be like, that seems strange.
No,
that we felt this call so strongly, and then all of my friends and family were like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? I don't want you to go." And I'm like, "I don't really want to go either, but I guess I'm going."
But it kind of proves the theory, right? That when you are able to be connected to the moment, you'll figure out what you need to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, I was getting a call, so it was disrupting my thing. But
it's all good.
Yeah. No, I think that's anyway.
Yeah. No, I just think if you are listening to this, if you've taken the time to listen to all the way through to this point, then just do those daily things. And please hit us up in the comments. I'm going to be posting this to all the different platforms. So, and we'll get that up on a podcast as well. But please, like, if you are feeling that anxiety, let us know, and we can do the Wim Hof method. If you want to look that up, there's hundreds of videos on YouTube. You take 30 deep breaths, you hold your breath, you do a few things, and you begin to feel a little better. And so
he calls it getting high on your own supply.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really does work. And
it really does.
Go take a cold shower, and not only is it like, oh, you objectively feel better, but actually scientifically, because they've studied him and he's taken a bunch of different test groups and done it. It's been proven to boost your immune system. So, right. I think take the time to do those things, do those little things, and then take time to connect. If you're home from work for the next 2 weeks, hot damn, you got a really, really wonderful opportunity. Obviously, get the work done. Make sure that you're doing your due diligence as an employee or an employer. But also, like, you get a chance to be home with your kids and eat lunch with them and talk with them, and or to give your mom and dad a call. Or if you don't have a mom and dad, if you don't have any brothers, sisters, don't have any kids, then you get to call your friends and you get to check in on them and see how they're doing. This is a really, 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 really great time for us.
I mean, you're in Oregon, dude, and we just you just transported yourself literally into my house. And I mean, I feel like you and I have had a conversation that we would have, this was the way it would have been if we would have been face to face. And it's an incredible day that we live in. Yeah. Don't think that because, maybe you're going to stay home more often that you don't have opportunities to connect, because you absolutely do. I mean, they're out there and it's abundant. So take advantage.
I love it. Okay. Well, do you want to do any sign offs from you, Logan, before I hit end on this?
I have no idea. Okay. Peace out.
See you guys.
Till next time. I have no, that's all, folks.
Okay. I'm going to hit stop record right now, and then we can keep chatting for a little bit.